Hello and welcome to Unit 4 of Breakthrough Plus One. My name is Mr. French and I'm pleased to be teaching you this week's unit. Today we're looking at Unit 4 Places, and by the end of today's lesson you will be able to talk about your city and neighbourhood and describe where you live using the correct grammar and vocabulary. For today's lesson, you will need a pen and a notebook, as well as your student book. So let's go right ahead, begin today's lesson. This page, as you can see, has 3 photographs. What can you see in the pictures? In picture 1, there is a big city. In picture 2, there is a shopping mall. And in picture 3, there is a neighborhood. Now let's take a look at some of the vocabulary we're going to need in this lesson. So vocabulary, number 1 is noun. Now maybe you all know what noun means. A noun is just the name of something, like pen, teacher, coronavirus, etc. So just the name is a noun. I'm going to call that N. So if you see N later in the lesson, you know that it means noun. Next is verb, which I will call V. And a verb is an action word, such as go, do, play, buy, and watch. Those are verbs. And we have adjective. Now, an adjective describes a noun. Adjectives are words like big, expensive, pretty, etc., etc. The next 2 words we need are neighborhood, which is the area where you live. Don't be confused with neighbor, who is the person who lives next to you. So we've got 2 things, neighborhood and neighbor. Also today, there are 3 more phrases we need. Number 1, a couple of meaning 2, a few meaning 3 or 4, and lots of meaning many. We usually use lots of in a positive sentence, and often we use many in a negative sentence. So I may say, there aren't many people, and so that's negative with not. So we're going to use lots of, not many. Now on this page, we can see some businesses and places that you typically may find in a city, or maybe even your neighborhood where you live. The first step is simply to look at the pictures, A, B, C, D, and I want you to match the pictures to the numbers on the left and write down the letters A, B, C on the left. So you can open your books. Go ahead, open your books. Let's see how many you get correct. There are 12 correct answers, and I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. Let's start. Okay, let's go ahead, take a look at the answers, and let's see how many you got correct. Number one, a park, of course, is H. So if you got that correct, you can check or circle your answer. Let's see who gets perfect. Number two, a movie theater. Movie theater is J. Number three, a hotel is K. Number four, a bank. That one's E. Number five, a shopping mall. That's L. We can sometimes call a shopping mall a shopping center or a department store, all very similar. Number six, a coffee shop is C. Number seven, a train station is A. Number eight, a restaurant. That one's I. Number nine, a fitness center. That one's G. Sometimes we call a fitness center a gym. Number 10, a supermarket. That one's D. Number 11, a post office is B. And finally, number 12, a library. That one's F. So if you got 12 out of 12, perfect score, congratulations. Now we're going to look at part two. Part two, it says, ask a partner what you can do in these places. Well, of course, you don't have a partner right now. Maybe you can ask somebody at home, if possible. And we have a question and an answer. Question: what can you do in a coffee shop? What can you do in a coffee shop? Now, this question has the word you, but it doesn't mean you as an individual person. It means you as in everybody, every person. So really, the question is, what can everybody do in a coffee shop? So we should not answer the question, I can. We have to answer the question as you can, meaning everybody can. The answer here in the book, in a coffee shop, you can buy a cup of coffee or get something to eat. When we answer this question, we need what we call present simple verbs. Now, you know the word verb. The present simple verbs are the basic verbs, and in the answer, they are buy and, that's right, get. So we're going to go ahead and look at the simple, basic present verbs that you will need to answer the question in number two. What can you do in a blah, blah, blah? And we're going to answer the question for each photo on this page, A through L. So here are the verbs you need to answer the question: buy, send, have, deposit, withdraw. Now here are two new words, I guess. Deposit means to put in. Now it's usually money into a bank. So deposit means put money into a bank. Withdraw is the opposite. It means take out money from a bank. Borrow, work out. Work out means to exercise, to exercise. Take, watch, eat, book. Now, book, of course, has another meaning, your student book, your notebook. Here, it's a verb, and it means to reserve or make a reservation. So we can book a hotel or book a ticket. One more is go. The questions are all the same. What can you do in a? So example 1. What can you do in a train station? Answer. In a train station, you can buy, it's the verb, a ticket. Now, ticket is the noun. Because we can count tickets, we can say 1 ticket, 2 tickets, 3 tickets, right? Because we can count, we call it a count noun. With count nouns, we need to use a. So don't forget, it's very important when you're speaking to use a and your count noun. So here it's a ticket and take a train. So this is the same. We've got train, which is count. We can count 1 train, 2 trains, 3 trains, and so we need to use a. Example 2. What can you do in a movie theatre? Answer. In a movie theatre, you can watch a movie. Again, movie is a count noun, right? So we need a. And eat popcorn. Now, popcorn, we cannot count. We cannot say 1 popcorn, 2 popcorns. Totally wrong. Sounds stupid, right? So because we cannot count it, we're going to call this a non-count noun. And for non-count nouns, we never use a. So don't use a in this case. Example 3. What can you do in a fitness center? Answer. In a fitness center, you can work out. Now here, work out, like I said, it means exercise. So we don't need any more information. So we can just end this sentence with this verb phrase. That's enough. Okay, so those are 3 examples about how to answer the question for all of the items on this page. So at the top, we have the same basic simple verbs. Now I want you to ask you the new questions. So, what can you do in a supermarket? Now, do you remember how to answer the question? In a supermarket, you can buy, and then ... We need more. We need 1 or maybe 2 more words, right? What can you buy in a supermarket? You can buy groceries. So the correct answer would be, in a supermarket, you can buy groceries. Now, groceries is just a word meaning food and drink and other items you can buy in a supermarket. Altogether, those are called groceries. The next question. What can you do in a post office? Answer. In a post office, you can send ... What do you think? There we go. A package or a box. Okay. We have more questions. Restaurant, bank, library, fitness center, park, movie theater, coffee shop, hotel, and shopping mall. And they match these photos on this page. Okay. So now what I want you to do is open your notebooks, and I'm going to give you 2 more minutes, and I want you to write down the answer to the question. Now, you don't need to write the full sentence. You can just write with the verbs we have here plus your short answer. Okay, so we've done number 1. It's buy groceries. Number 2 is send a package. I want you to complete 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to write down your answer. Let's go. Right, let's look at the answer. Number 3 is restaurant. What can you do in a restaurant? And the answer is, in a restaurant, you can have dinner, or have lunch or dinner. Have, that's the same as eat. Next, what can you do in a bank? In a bank, you can deposit money or withdraw money. What can you do in a library? In a library, you can borrow some books. What can you do in a fitness center? In a fitness center, you can work out. That's the answer already there. We don't need to change that one. It means exercise, right? What can you do in a park? In a park, you can take a walk and relax. Sometimes we may say, go for a walk. You choose. What can you do in a movie theater? Answer, in a movie theater, you can, of course, watch a movie. What can you do in a coffee shop? In a coffee shop, you can drink coffee, of course, drink coffee, and hang out with friends. Hang out with friends. Now, hang out just means to spend time with your friends, chatting in your free time. So spend time with friends means hang out, hang out. What can you do in a hotel? Answer, in a hotel, you can book a room, make a reservation, book a room. And one more, what can you do in a shopping mall? Answer, in a shopping mall, you can go window shopping or buy some clothes. And we know what buy some clothes means, but what about window shopping? Well, window shopping is what in Korea you call eye shopping. In English, we say window shopping. So if you got all of those correct, well done. Now let's move on. A little bit of grammar. And this grammar is there is and there isn't, and there are and there aren't. Now we use there is and there isn't when we only have one of something. So only one building, we're going to use there is or there isn't. And we use there are or there aren't when we have multiple. That means 2 or 3 or 4. Then we're going to use there are, there aren't. Now, in my neighborhood, ... in my neighborhood, there is a blank blank. The first blank has an adj, adjective, and the second blank has n or noun. So, for example, there is small park. Adjective small, noun park. So if you want, when you're talking about your neighborhood or your city, you can include some adjectives in your sentences. Number 2, there are a couple of. There are a couple of. Now remember, a couple of means 2. And again, we're going to use this adjective plus noun form. Now just notice how there's an S on the end of the sentence. And this is because we have more than one. So whenever we have 2 or 3 or 4, etc., don't forget, always add S. My example, there are a couple of big hospitals. When you're speaking, very important to strongly pronounce the S on hospitals. Number 3, there are a few meaning 3 or 4. Now in this case, I've only used a noun plus S. You don't need to add an adjective, but it's your choice. In this case, I've only used a noun. In the example, there are a few convenience stores. Convenience stores, meaning 7-Eleven, mini stop, CU, etc., etc. Next, there are lots of. Remember, don't say there are many. We're going to say there are lots of. And again, I only used just a noun plus S. There are lots of cars. Now we're going on to a negative sentence, something you don't have in your neighborhood. There isn't a noun. In my example, there isn't a department store. And one more, there aren't any. Use adjective noun plus S. Example, there aren't any good restaurants in my neighborhood. Now, maybe there are some restaurants in my neighborhood. Maybe there are 3 or 4 restaurants, but they aren't good, which means I only have bad restaurants in my neighborhood. Now, the next task is go ahead and open your notebooks again. Now, what I want you to do is write down 6 sentences about your neighborhood. Don't copy my example. So I want you to write 6 new, unique sentences about your neighborhood, where you live, and you're going to use the same format as here on the left of the page. So I want you to write 6 sentences with there is a, there are a couple of, there are a few, there are lots of, there isn't a, and there aren't any. So those 6 sentences, write down. Again, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. All right, guys, time to move on. I hope you finished. So when I ask you the question, when I meet you, maybe, for example, in the speaking test, if I say to you, tell me about your neighborhood, you should be able to speak 6 different sentences with adjectives describing where you live. Next, look at the picture. It's a very, very busy neighborhood. In a minute, you're going to be able to describe the picture, so talk about the buildings in the picture. So when we use the word describe, what we mean is talk about how does it look? Is it big? Is it small? The color? Does it look busy? Does it look expensive? Etc., etc. So for that, when we describe something, we're going to use lots and lots of adjectives. Okay. So describing the neighborhood on page 26. That's page 26 here. So take a look in your books at this page. Take a good look. I'm going to teach you now how to describe buildings in the picture. So first of all, we need to start our sentences with there is a. There is a. Now this is just a general name for the building. For example, if you look at the top left, that pink building, there is a movie theatre. Right? Next to the movie theatre, there is a coffee shop. We're not going to say the name of the coffee shop, we just give the general name for the building. Next to the coffee shop, there is a bank. Now, if the building has a name, we can introduce the name with it's called blah, blah, blah. It's called blah, blah, blah. We don't say its name is, we're going to say it's called. So let's go back to our pink building. Number 1, there is a movie theatre. There is a movie theatre. Next, it's called Cineworld. It's called Cineworld. That is the name of the movie theatre. Okay. Finally, we should add some description. So we need to use adjectives. For example, it's big and green and it looks cheap. It's big and green and it looks cheap. Can you find a building that matches that description? That's right. If you said supermarket at the bottom left, you would be correct. It's big and green and it looks cheap. Now, we use the word looks to give your opinion on what you think it is like. This is not a fact. For something that is a fact, we can use it is. So going back to our pink building as well, if I say to you, it is pink, well, this is true. It's a fact. If I say to you, it looks fun, then this is an opinion. Okay, so it is and it looks. Now I'm going to give you a little task, maybe just 1 minute for this one. Look at the picture on page 26. Take a good look, and I want you to try to fill in the blanks so you can write down the answers into your notebooks. All right, let's try 1 minute for this. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some answers. Number one, there is a movie theatre. It's called, and the name is Cineworld. Cineworld. It's round and, there's the answers, pink. It's round and pink. There it is. And it looks fun. Number three, it looks fun. Number two, there is a it's called Grand Plaza. There is a Grand Plaza. That's the big building right in the middle. Shopping mall or shopping center. Number three, there's a supermarket. It's big and green. It looks cheap. Well, maybe you think it looks expensive. I think it looks kind of cheap. Next to the supermarket, there is a coffee shop. It's called, what is the name? Well, it's called Bill's Coffee. That's the answer, Bill's Coffee. And it's, what adjective is good to describe Bill's Coffee? Well, there are a lot of people inside. So a good adjective to use here is crowded. It's crowded. That's C-R-O-W-D-E-D. Crowded. It's crowded, or busy. You can say busy. So those are the answers. Again, when you take the speaking test, I may ask you to describe the picture. So I may show you the picture and say, can you describe 5 or 6 buildings? So you should be able to make sentences like this in number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, next, we're going to do a listening task. Now, this man is from England, like me, but he has a little bit of a different accent. So this is good practice for your listening skills. We're going to listen to number 1. It says, listen to Brian from Didsbury in Manchester, UK. I'm sure you know Manchester United. Talk about where he lives. Now, the first question is, does he like living in Didsbury? Does he like living in Didsbury? Now, when we have this question, does, you should answer very simply, yes, he does, or no, he doesn't. Okay? If the answer is for you, you can answer, yes, I do, and no, I don't. But if the answer is for he or she, you could say, yes, he does, and no, he doesn't. So we're going to go ahead, listen to the clip, and we're going to answer number 1. So remember, yes, he does, no, he doesn't. That's all you need to write. So he says, yes, it is. I like it here. So the answer to number 1, of course, is yes, he does. Now we're going to listen to number 2. You have to write true or false. If it's true, write T, and if it's false, write F. First, I'm going to play the whole audio clip. So just listen. The second time, I'm going to play it again and pause after each sentence. Okay, are you ready? T or F? Whoops, there's number 1. So I gave you number one. There are lots of things to do in Didsbury. That's true. Let's listen again and find this answer for number one. He says it's small, but there are a lot of facilities and things to do. There are a lot of things to do. Now he says there are a lot of facilities. Now this word facility means something in your town or neighborhood where you live which is useful to you. It's not really something for fun like a coffee shop or a nightclub. It's something which is useful, more like a library, a gym, or a park. So those things are called facilities. So the answer to number one is true. He speaks very, very quickly, but he said, there's a good library. There's a good library. And that's true, right? Number three, Brian teaches at City College. Is that true? Well, he says, I'm a student at City College. So number three, of course, is false. Number four, there isn't a park. Well, he says there's a great park. I like to have lunch there. So there isn't a park. That one's false. Number five, there aren't any good restaurants. He says there are great coffee shops and restaurants. So this one, of course, is false. Number six, Brian doesn't like Italian food. I like Italian food. He says, I like Italian food. So number six is false. And one more, number seven, he eats at Pizza Palace because it's cheap. Is that true or false? I go to a place called Pizza Palace with my friends because it's cheap. So that's true. If you got all seven correct, good job. Now we've nearly finished for today. You'll be happy to know. I'm going to give you this final page as an assignment. What I want you to do is I want you to do the reading. So this reading is about a town, a small town called Harlington, town or neighborhood. I want you to read the article, and then I want you to answer the questions in number one and number two. When you've finished, I want you to write your answers on the Cyber Campus, and then I can give you full credit for attendance and participation for today's class. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and I'm looking forward to catching you next time. Stay safe, Have a great day.